Yeah, this is the good news thing that I want to share with you. So, Joe Biden did something. Joe Biden apologized to the indigenous people of the United States for the federal government's role in what they called Indian boarding schools. That's Joe Biden giving the talk. Now, that's not a YouTube clip that I can click on. That was just a screenshot that I grabbed. My apologies. This came from the Episcopal National News Services, which is a cool little email that I get from time to time. I was really surprised when I saw this and really amazed and thankful. After 150 years, Biden said the United States government eventually stopped the program, but the federal government has never formally apologized for what happened until today. I formally apologize as President of the United States of America for what we did. I formally apologize. Biden made the apology to all Native Americans while speaking at the Gila River Indian community in Arizona, a reservation on the south side of Phoenix. The indigenous boarding school system destroyed the lives of generations of indigenous children and their descendants. The pain it has caused, Biden says, will always be a significant mark of shame, a blot on American history. For too long, this all happened with virtually no public attention, not written about in our history books, not taught in our schools. But just because history is silent doesn't mean it didn't take place. It did take place. While darkness can hide much, it erases nothing. Oh, that's a good line. Injustices are heinous, horrific, and grievous. They can't be buried, no matter how hard people try. We must know the good, the bad, and the truth of who we are as a nation. Oh, that's amazing. God bless you, President Biden. That is God's work. That's God's work. That is just, I'm floored. We, our prime ministers here in Canada, a few years ago, began apologizing to our indigenous communities for what we called them the residential schools. Our residential schools were set up for the same reason that the American boarding schools were set up, to teach the Indian out of them. Okay? The idea was that we were going to save their soul by destroying their culture. Thousands of people were harmed. Millions more suffer because the damage that was done was passed down from generation to generation to generation, because that's how trauma works, especially the kind of trauma that impacts entire communities, right? Not just families, entire communities of families. That's how that trauma works. They didn't eliminate the Indian as they might have wanted. They didn't destroy the culture. The culture, the languages, they were too strong. But they did significant damage to the individuals and to the generations to come after them. Now, Biden says something there that I think is really, really important. I love that line that darkness can hide things, but it can't erase everything. But I especially love when he said we must know the good. What does he say here? We must know the good, the bad, and the truth. We must know the good, the bad, and the truth. And we must be willing to acknowledge the good, the bad, and the truth. For us to grow, we must know about our past. Again, we've said it earlier, the past does not hold us captive. The past is not the writer of our future. The past is just what has happened. But if we don't learn from it, if we don't know where we come from, then we don't know how much work we have to do in order to become who we're meant to be. In business, there's a thing that we studied. It's called a gap analysis. Okay, what you say is, this is where I want to be. Okay, that's what I want to become. Well, in order to become that, one of the key components in understanding how to become what you feel called to become, one of the key components is knowing where you are. You need to know where you are. You need to know the good, the bad, and the truth. Because if you don't know where you are, you can't possibly build a bridge to where you want to be. So it's essential to know and to acknowledge, to accept the good, the bad, and the truth in order to become great. A lot of people have issues with this. We don't want to talk about that. We shouldn't have to talk about that. There's no reason to talk about that. You can't blame us for that. That's just talking points. It's not going to do any good. There's no point in this. It's blah, 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 blah. We don't like talking about the past. The past is painful. Thinking about what our ancestors did is painful. Thinking about what our what our ancestors did is really, really painful. It's problematic for us. We feel, we can feel a certain amount of shame. Oh, my people did that. But we can learn from it. That doesn't mean like we have to hang our head low. It doesn't mean that we're a threat. It doesn't mean that we're less than. It doesn't mean anything like that. It just means that we know what we've done. We know what we have been capable of. We know what we are capable of. And we can grow from it. The whole Christian journey, the whole Christian life is about understanding. The whole Christian life is about coming to an understanding of where we are, who we are, where we've been. Recognizing the power of Jesus Christ in our life. Recognizing the power of God in our life often comes down to recognizing how far we've come. But you can't tell me how far you've come unless you know where you've been. You can't tell me how far we've come. You've come if... Well, I don't want to talk about all that. It's okay. It is okay that we've been the bad guy. It's okay that we've made mistakes. It's okay. Awful, but it's nothing we can do about it now that we've hurt people. So long as we can take that knowledge and apply it to becoming something more, to becoming something better, to becoming something fuller, to becoming something closer to what God knows we can be. This is also an act of humility and something that we would all be wise in emulating. I'm sorry. I apologize. It was an awful thing we did. An act of humility can go miles and miles and miles in the restoration of relationship. An act of humility can do immeasurable good, to be an immeasurable benefit in someone's journey of healing. An act of humility. There's just no downside to an act of genuine and authentic humility. And so in this way too, we shouldn't be afraid of our past. Recognize it, accept it, learn from it, allow it to be the launching pad to get to where you want to be. And at the same time, be willing to be humble. offer into this world authentic and sincere humility. This apology of Biden's to the indigenous people, it's God's work. Amen.